10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All systems go.
You're listening to Sudbury News Talk.
I want to show you something.
Stand by.
On the morning shift.
Anything
Could happen.
Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift. I'm AJ Walsh. I'm glad to be here with you. I'm thankful that you're here with us on this Thursday, October the 2nd, 2025. We're live on CKLU 96.7 FM on the radio. We're also streaming live at cklu.ca on the internet, along with facebook.com/Sudbury News, youtube.com/Sudbury News. So make sure to like, share, subscribe, and follow the channel and the page. We're grateful to have you on, and we hope that you'll enjoy the show today, including the Samaritan Center and the warming station for the city. We have a different schedule than what many people feel we should have. We'll have a little bit more on that when we come up in the next half hour or so, when we get to that, to local news. And we also have some stories from our news aggregator, which is Sudbury.news. So we're out live on Facebook and YouTube, and we're also going to be found on demand on those two platforms, along with x.com/Sudbury News and Sudbury.news, our news aggregator. And that's where we get our stories for each and every morning on the show. Now, again, we can't cover everything there is, so the best thing to do is check out the website after the show or anytime during the day, because all of the stories from Sudbury.com, Sudbury Star, CBC, etc. are on the website, along with the newsroom from the city, from the province, from the federal government. You can just check out their latest news releases there as well. So catch up on local news, provincial news, and federal news as well. So there's all kinds of news to catch, local news on our website. We'll do our best to, go over some of the main stories in the day. But first, we usually dive into our weather, get that out of the way, and then talk about our local news stories, and then a deep dive into stuff going on in our country, world kind of thing. Today, we're going to be talking about the idea of our Western civilization has kind of been changing a lot. And it hasn't kind of been, it's been changing very dramatically. And there's a reason for that. What is the reason? Well, we'll look into how our current government is doing, the new elbows up strategy of the Liberal government to stay in power. And that worked. It definitely worked because they stayed in power. They stayed in power on the campaign idea that Mark Carney was going to be an amazing negotiator. He's a banker. He's going to be able to, get us through like no one else has been able to, because he's gotten us through 2008 and so on. And I hear people who who just listen to news on the surface level and they kind of spew this back out and stuff. So we'll look into that a little bit. We'll see how he's been doing with elbows up and see how he's been doing with negotiating with Trump and where we're at fiscally, because he is a banker. So see where we're at financially as a country, if you're interested in that. And then we'll look at the idea that maybe, just maybe, there's other things at play here, and our own governments aren't after our own Canadian best interest. However, after maybe their own interest, or also maybe some more other entities are involved with more of a global, there's a global interest going on where there's global initiatives that are being put into play despite the concerns or things that would benefit us as a country. So we'll look at that as a deep dive today. But first, we'll dive in with a little bit of weather. We'll get our full screen up here so we can show the weather to all y'all who are watching. Red for those listening on the radio. We'll be back after the weather with news headlines, your comments, and more. Stay tuned. And Sudbury weather brought to you by SudburyWeather.ca. Currently at 7 degrees out there. Partly cloudy. That's weird that it's partly cloudy because that was not forecast one bit. It was supposed to be only sunny for the next 4 days or so. But today they're saying it's going to be sunny. Minus a few jet trails that we saw yesterday through the sky. Where I was anyways, it almost made it totally overcast at one point. But Environment Canada is saying it's going to be sunny, mild wind, high of 19, UV index 5 or moderate. Tonight, clear, fog patches developing overnight, and the low will be 8. And then tomorrow, mainly cloudy all of a sudden, even though it was yesterday, it was going to be sunny, but it's going to be mainly cloudy with a 30% chance of showers in the afternoon. Fog patches dissipating in the morning. A high of 24. With the humidex, it'll be 26, so very warm. So again, the forecast today looking much different than it did yesterday. And then also mix of sun and cloud on Saturday instead of it being sunny. Sunny, however, forecast to be anyways, and a high of 26 on Sunday. Monday, a 40% chance of showers, high of 24. 16 and a mix of sun and cloud on Tuesday with a 40% chance of showers and a mix of sun and cloud and a high of 12 on Wednesday. That's your Sudbury weather brought to you by SudburyWeather.ca. We'll be back with news headlines, your comments, and more right after this. Alrighty. Let's see here. Quite a few people on this morning. Thanks for joining us. I have a new system here. My cell phone is my monitor for Facebook, and I could actually see more comments on that, and I could also see people who are on who don't comment, which I've never been able to see before. Other people can see, oh, there's so and so, I know them or whatever. They're viewing. But I've never been able to see that before because I haven't used my cell phone as a monitor. But anyways, Nana, good morning to you. Blessings, everyone, heart emoji. And Rogue, good morning to you as well. Both of you on YouTube. Belinda's on Facebook. Good morning. Your mind will believe what you continuously tell it. So tell it that you are smart, ambitious, fearless, and you have what it takes to succeed. Triple heart emoji. Yeah, your mind will believe what you tell it. And it reminds me of one of my favorite comedians who always sends a positive message, and we'll have him on the show more and more each and every day as I remember to get him as a kind of a thought of the day, similar to your thoughts of the day, Belinda. We'll have that on upcoming shows. And Trevor, good morning to you. Much appreciated. Good morning. Good morning. And Maurice, good morning. Hazel, good morning to you as well as Brian, top of the morning. Nickel City Camp Patriots. And Monique, good morning. Sudbury. And Hazel says, I always love seeing your statement of the day, and that is to Belinda. Yes, and I do as well. And Vin, good morning to you. Trevor's got a bit of a thing here, so I'll do my best. Over the past few years, I've seen innumerable posts or comments from people stating that they would never comply or fall for it again after coming to terms with the lies and authoritarian mitigations enforced upon an unsuspecting public by a hijacked and nefarious liberal government. Here are a few tips. Here is a tip for the next mitigation that you must not fall for. It is digital ID. We talked about digital ID on the show yesterday. As the British government says, by the end of next Parliament, they are going to have a digital ID. You won't be able to work in Great Britain without it, and yada, yada. You won't be able to do anything in Great Britain without a digital ID. And it's already being rolled out in other countries, including Australia, which I thought was interesting. Digital ID, this is Trevor going on to say digital ID is far more dangerous to you, your family, and your future than any viral fear campaign that they can muster. The vaccine passport was a Trojan horse for digital ID in the same way that the CERB was a test run for the universal basic income or guaranteed income. The next mitigation, in quotes, to not, in quote, fall for, unquote. However, thanks to the trucker convoy and those that supported its concerns globally, they were forced to take a pause, regroup, and work on the next avenue that would funnel us all towards accepting a digital ID. Yes, and that's been their plan. It's a WEF kind of initiative along with other global interests and government interest in general. Any government would want to know everything there is to know about their citizens. Ask any government and they will tell you, we would love to just know everything there is to know about our citizens, because then that way we can control things a lot easier. And so that's been in the works for many, many years. Trevor goes on to say, you're going to get your chance to prove to yourself that you meant what you said this time around. We'll see. And again, Trevor, you're right, because in order to mean what you say would mean to totally unplug from our entire society at the point of the digital ID. If you accept the digital ID to be able to bank, just let that sit in your mind for a while. Just if you accept a digital ID, if you don't accept it, you don't get a bank account, can't do banking, you can't have a mortgage, you can't get on your phone, you can't have internet, you name it, right? So how can you go to the grocery store if you don't have a bank account and get your groceries, right? So you have to totally unplug from society. So Denise going on to say, freedom is gone. A North Bay, Ontario man was sentenced to 9 months in jail and 2 years probation for dozens of, anti-Semitic posts, and videos that vilified Jews and spread blood libels and conspiracy theories, incited violence, and mocked and denied the Holocaust. The marks of the first ever conviction in a Canadian court for condoning, denying, and downplaying the Holocaust. So the link is there. Thank you very much, Denise. And there's more where that came from. I know we talked about Great Britain and the digital ID coming out. They have thousands of people, hundreds at least, incarcerated for social media posts. So coming to a neighborhood near you, and it's starting, obviously, in North Bay. And regardless, right, if somebody is denying anything, like if you deny that there's a sun out there and you put it on social media, should you be incarcerated if you deny that the sun is there, even though everyone sees the sun and it's so apparent, right? Just ask yourself that, right? And people would look at your post and go, wow, this guy, he doesn't think there's a sun. That's interesting. That's what would happen, right? People would be able to make up their minds for themselves. So that's where I stand on this whole thing, where we're going down this road of imprisoning anybody who says anything on social media, regardless of what it is, unless they're breaking laws. And again, laws are changing, so more laws will be broken as we go forward in the future, as they change them. Can't fix a broken system by the same people that broke it. That's Brian. And Denise is saying Facebook is an entrapment. So, right? So it gets you to say things, say your opinion, and then you're imprisoned for your opinion. When bankers ever, let's see here. When have bankers ever been transparent? Are they in it for the people? That's Belinda. Yeah, I don't think they are. Okay, so anyways, yeah, let's see. We're going to have to kind of move on here. So I'm just going to get people's comments up on the screen. And good morning. Some morning shout outs as we kind of move on here to Pat and to Jerome. Watched the geoengineering happening yesterday. And it's starting just after sunrise, for sure. Started just after sunrise. Let's hope it's not going on today because we're breathing in whatever that is being sprayed over us. And I don't know what it is. So I don't even want to breathe while I'm out there because I don't know what I'm breathing in. And I just can't. Yeah, crisscross patterns, Pat, for sure. And good morning, Northern Hillbilly. Thanks for being on. I just see them and I always think of how many people just don't look up and don't realize what's going on. And they think somehow a big long strand of white across the sky is a cloud somehow. Or even if they think it's a contrail, don't they say to themselves, well, how come some days there's contrails and some days there's not? It's not every day. You can have a day where you go out and there's just blue skies, but then you go out in a day and it's all crisscross. What, planes, just like there's certain days where there's more planes traveling over certain areas for some strange reason. Travel is very unified and, it's very organized. If you have planes flying over your city, they're going to fly on a pretty regular basis. There's going to be scheduled flights to different cities across Canada on a regular basis. They don't just all of a sudden fly everywhere over your city, one day and then another day they don't. Even if they were contrails, don't you ask yourself these questions? Like, why is certain days just bombarded with jet fuel over your city and some days you're not? Anyway, I just don't understand. People are pretty docile. They kind of just don't ask any questions about life in general or what's going on around them. And yeah, I've always had a hard time trying to wrap my head around it. Anyways, it is what it is. Let's start off with some stories. First off, from Sudbury Star here. Samaritan Center, it's starting to get cold, right? So we're going to be expecting some cold weather and people aren't, they don't have a home to go to, many people in Sudbury, and it's increasing. So the headline here is pushing back, opening of Sudbury drop-in centers concern advocates. City of Greater Sudbury is proposing opening them on November 1st instead of October 1st. Well, October 1st has already passed. So what's the reason? Maybe they're forecasting a warmer October, and it has been warm. So I'm not sure if I'm totally against it, but who knows, right? A frost warning begins to appear. Weather forecasts, a group of concern. So because, and we did have a frost forecast the other day. A group of citizens, concerned citizens and homeless advocates gathered Wednesday at Tom Davies Square to lobby for the prompt opening of a downtown warming station. Last year, the drop-in center at the Samaritan Center on Elgin Street became available in October for the folks needing a place to escape by the elements. But the city, which provides funding, has a different schedule in mind this year. For some reason, they moved it to November, saying it's not an emergency need right now. Ashley Dawn of Movements of Purpose, a budding non-profit focused on feeding and helping those in need. But in the month of October, we all know the weather goes down to below zero overnight. The protest organizer, who has experienced homelessness herself and wished to keep her surname private for safety reasons, said she had gathered close to 400 signatures for a petition that would be presented to City Council. In a staff report on winter warming programs that will go before Council next week, the city's manager of community well-being recommends the overnight drop-in at the Samaritan Center, run by New Hope Outreach, operate from November 1st to April 30th. At the same time, the report advocates an increase in capacity at the overnight center with space for 30 people, 5 more than could be accommodated last year. Now, this was news to me that we can only accommodate 30 people, and that's an increase from 25 people last year in a warming center. If you look at the list of people experiencing homelessness in the city of Greater Sudbury, I'm pretty sure it's a lot more than 30 people. So that's interesting that we could only accommodate 30 for the warming station. At the same time, the report advocates increase. Okay, yeah, we got that. New Hope also operates an afternoon drop-in from Monday to Friday, which provides access to safe space, washrooms, computers, internet, and support staff for up to 25 people at a time, the report notes. The drop-in is co-located with services provided by the Elgin Street Mission and Blue Door Soup Kitchen, including access to free meals, washrooms, showers, laundry, community paramedics, and hairdresser services. I'm always kind of taken back to it how many organizations there are that have to work together piecemeal to serve the same public for the same reasons as well. We haven't got there yet as a society as to how to, and good morning, Sheila. Thanks for being on. And any other people I missed, I apologize. If I ever miss saying good morning to somebody, it's not personal at all. I'm reading and I'm kind of just clicking everybody's comments so they get up on the screen, and I apologize for that. So anyways, if you want more on that story, head to our news aggregator, Sudbury.news, and click on that and other stories that are going on from around town. But now let's just dive into what's going on in our country. Mark Carney, we voted for him. We thought, elbows up. We're going to stick it to the orange man south of the border. He's really bad. He's imposing all these tariffs on us, and we need to have a fearless leader that's going to take him head on. And so what has he done so far to help us? Has your life improved? Have tariffs gone away? Yada, yada. So Tanner has a bit of a rant about this. And as soon as I get the volume here for him, I don't even know how the volume is going to... Do we just click on it? And we click on it again? Here we go. I found the volume. On these videos, the volume's all in different places. They love stuff like this. Anyways, take it away, Tanner.
For reasons I'll probably never be able to understand, certain Canadians voted for this guy, for Mark Carney, believing that he would be the superior politician to negotiate new trade deals with President Trump. what has Carney done since he's been elected to office that has proven that understanding, that assumption to be true? The answer is absolutely nothing. Carney hasn't proven himself capable of negotiating with President Trump. On the contrary, Carney's administration and Carney's government and Carney himself have been the epitome of a botched negotiation deal. He has done everything that we're not supposed to do when it comes to negotiating with our American counterparts, whether it be with trade or anything else. Look, just today or just a few days ago, another blow to Canadian producers. Trump imposes a 10% tariff on lumber and a 25% tariff on cabinets and furniture. And defenders of Carney will go, well, no, it's not his fault. He isn't the one who put the tariffs on Canadians. He's not the guy who actually put the cost onto producers, and so there won't be as much production moving into the States. But it's like, does anyone seriously believe that Carney has honestly represented Canada in these negotiations, if negotiations are taking place at all? The ineptitude of Carney's administration, of Carney's government, is asinine. Like, look at this. Here you have Algoma Steel. So they have a market cap of $450 million. And the government just gave them a $500 million loan, $400 million of which comes from Ottawa. That means it comes from you and me. Did we get a stake, however, in the company? No, we didn't, because instead this was considered or labeled a tariff payout. It was an emergency tariff relief, $500 million sort of thing. So once again, the total ineptitude of the Carney government is on full display. He's not saving Canada. He's not dealing amicably with our American counterparts. And Canadians are now paying the price for Carney's, really, what is it? A lie. He told Canadians time and time and time again and again, some way, somehow, inexplicably, certain Canadians believed him that he was the guy to deal with the president. And all that we have received since Carney's been elected into office is case after case after case of pure government failure and pure government inefficiency. So personally, I don't expect that Carney will change his tune anytime soon. I don't think he'll miraculously become this efficient and effective leader to defend Canadian interests while also building up credibility across international borders. I think the contrary. Now, that doesn't mean I don't believe that Carney is dangerous. No, Carney is very much dangerous. It's just, who knows what he's doing? He's always working behind the scenes in one capacity or another. But one thing is absolutely certain. It's not as though Carney's working for Canadians. It's not as though he's making life better for Canadians than what it was before. Actually, the complete opposite is happening. Some savior.
So there's a podcaster goes by Moose on the Loose, and many people listening to this or watching this would be very familiar with his podcast. He has a chart, and it's awesome. If you just go to look up Moose on the Loose on YouTube or whatever, he'll tell you how to get his chart, where he basically has tracked all of Mark Carney's business dealings. And it is pretty, well, it's huge for one thing. It goes on and on and on and on. He makes all the connections, and he has videos attached to every aspect of his business dealings and who he deals with and how it happens. And when you see government contracts being awarded to certain companies, you see how he's basically benefiting from it in so many ways. There's so many conflicts of interest, but we spend money as if it's going out of style. We've been with the Liberal government for the last 10 years. They've just been spending and spending and spending and spending. And as we heard Prime Minister Trudeau say before he got elected the last time, and nobody listened to it, everyone voted for him because he had nice hair and they found him attractive, and then he got in, and then we just spent and spent and spent and spent to the point where now the parliamentary budget officer is giving us what's at stake. Like, what has that all led to, right?
Hazard of response. It should be very alarming, right? these are, I don't know, I think I used the words in French, and which the translators probably got really well, like stupefying, shocking, right? This is not, like, it's not a funny fiscal outlook. It's a really serious fiscal outlook. And we don't lightly use the word unsustainable, right? Unsustainable means you don't have the option of saying, maybe I'll wait a couple of years, I'll see how things go. It means if you don't change, this is done, right? So it's very serious. And I think, as anyone who's managed a household budget knows, if you sit down at the end of the month and you don't have enough money to pay your bills, and it happens month after month after month, you know that something's going to break.
Kind of along that, you look at the federal debt number in that table number 2, 24-25, it's $1,281 billion, and in 2030 it's up to $1,655 billion. What impact does that have on the Canadian economy and for businesses, for taxpayers, for the people who are supposed to be the ones generating the wealth? But when we see the government is in debt $1,655 billion in the year 2030, what impact does that have?
So I'll just leave that to you to kind of think of what do you think the impact of that would be. And I really liked how the parliamentary budget officer, who doesn't belong to any political party, by the way, he's just saying it like it is, refers to our own financial, our own finances in our own house, our household finances. So what do you do when you sit down and you look at your bills, So I don't know what that would relate to, like per household, like how much we would all be in debt if it was $1,655 billion. You divide that by 45 million, because that's probably what we would be by 2030, if not 50 million people. But either way, divide that and see how much debt we would all have, and then add the interest to that. What does that mean? So if in your household, if you were, I don't know, $100,000 in debt, $200,000 in debt with credit cards, what would that mean for your household, right? Like I don't know the comparable at this point, what it would be to your own finances, what it would be comparable to your own finances, but it would be different for everybody. So let's just say you're making $100,000 a year and you're $500,000 in the hole. What would that mean for you in your circumstance? You'd be pretty depressed, right? But is this all happening just by accident? Is just people just misspending and spending all of our money by accident? Or is it part of something much bigger, right? So Blender does a good Blender News. If you haven't heard of them before, we play them a lot on the show. And they do a very good job of, just connecting dots. And if you haven't checked them out on Facebook, BLENDR is how you spell it. And so just have a listen. That maybe these are some of the reasons why we're just spending and spending and spending out of control.
From Canada to Australia, Britain to France, Germany to the United States, the same pattern is playing out. The people in charge are sinking their own nations while vying for a seat on some international committee. Modern governance is a career ladder. Politicians and bureaucrats don't serve the people, they serve their own ambitions. Global institutions like the UN, WHO, and WEF aren't just advisory bodies to these climbers, they're the next job. That's why Western policies all look the same, because they're not written for the nation, they're written for the resume. Instead of tailoring laws to local needs, these leaders download blueprints from global bodies and implement them blindly. Housing, mass migration, energy, healthcare, education, justice. Everything is being reformatted according to some international consensus that sounds nice at cocktail parties in Geneva, but spells disaster at street level. The result? Crumbling infrastructure, homeless addicts flooding cities, mass migration, soaring crime, broken families, fractured communities, and a generation that hates its own history, taught to see their ancestors as nothing but colonizers and slavers. Also that they'll reject national identity and accept the new global order with open arms. But here's the irony. Most of the people pushing these policies have no idea that they're carrying water for Marxist theory. They're not thinkers. They're obedient middle managers in suits. Bureaucracy rewards conformity, not intelligence. That's why these people obsess over obedience. They know it's the only thing they're good at. They can't build anything, they can't fix anything, but they can follow rules and punish dissenters. That's why it all feels so soulless. The same empty slogans, the same bad ideas dressed up in new moral language, the same censorship, shaming, and surveillance in the name of safety or equity. It's that scene in Pirates of the Caribbean where Jack Sparrow steps off a sinking boat just as it slips beneath the waves. That's your average bureaucrat, drilling holes in the national hull, confident that they'll step off just in time onto the dock of global governance. They don't care if the ship sinks. They were never loyal to it in the first place, because this isn't policy, it's betrayal.
So it isn't policy, it's betrayal. And so you would have to think, have there been any politicians over time who saw where our spending was taking us as a country? Don't we have leaders? Don't we have people that oversee our finances and make good decisions with our money? So why are we in this position now? Like, how did we get here? Like again, like if you look up above your head and you got all these clouds that have been sprayed over you by jets all day, and you don't even question it. Many people just haven't really been paying attention or haven't cared of what's been going on in their country. And it's not just Canadians. You could say Canadians are apathetic and, docile and just allow everything to happen to us. But it's not just happening in Canada. However, it is also happening in Canada, and that's where we live. So how did we get to this place? Anyways, I'll leave that question with you as you ponder it today. Maybe tomorrow you can come on the show and give us your opinion of how we got to this point. How did Canada allow ourselves to get to the point of unsustainability? We love the word sustainability so much. But our parliamentary budget officer, said that we are now fiscally unsustainable. And unless we do something drastic, we will be unsustainable. What does unsustainable mean? Right? But we have this really great banker at the helm of our nation. You would think this particular gentleman would be able to know what to do, but it doesn't look like it's going to do anything that's going to benefit you or I. Now, that's all the time we got for the show today. Thanks, everyone, for being on. We really appreciate you. We appreciate your comments. Did my best to get them up on the screen. Thanks for those who were commenting. Thanks for all you who have been on the show, even just listening. We appreciate you. We'll be back same time, same place, God willing, on the same platforms tomorrow. Stay tuned now for Earshot Daily on CKLU 96.7 FM. Remember to stay aware, like, share, and take care. Ciao for now.
This is Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.